This task is about adding our stuff to the database GraphQL and S3. And three links are important for this. One is this link for GraphQL, this for S3, and this link for our GitHub. I have sent you guys IAM usernames, passwords, and the sign in URL in your DMs. And after you sign in, you can paste those URLs, and I'll get this one for the S3 page. In the S3 page, we upload objects, and here the objects are going to be the images of the marbles. And each object should have the name as something that we will be using in the GraphQL data to connect to this image. In the GraphQL data, we will only be storing the name, and that we will connect with this and fetch the image. The name can be anything, but it just should be something we can track and type ourselves. Yeah, so the task here is to upload all of the images and give it the names that we want to give it. Then we come to GraphQL. In GraphQL, what actually the service we're using is AWS AppSync. In that, I'm in the Marble Dev AppSync one. In that, I came to the queries section. If you just paste the link, you'll directly reach here. And by query over here, we mean the graph database query. And this is the web interface, web console, for directly writing the queries and modifying the graph. I have already made some queries which you guys can use to update the data. That is there in our GitHub repo. Once you open GitHub, you can check your notifications, and there my invite will be there. After you accept my invite, you can come to this file, consolequeries.txt, and just copy the raw text. That raw text you can just click here, Control A, Control V. So now if I click the run button, it will give me option to run any one of the 4 queries which are available here. If I run the list categories of products, it shows me what is supposed to be all of the data in our database. If at all we configured it wrong, it will, or if we have like disconnected graphs, this will not be able to show everything. But in the ideal completed scenario, our thing is a full completely connected graph, and this will be from the root node. We will be able to see everything using this query, in the sense the list categories of products, that query. And another list query is list sellers. Currently I have only like one seller registered. We have to add more sellers. Now coming to the adding, to add data, technically it's a query, but under a query we call it a mutation. And here the keyword query means it is just going to read. Here the keyword mutation means it's going to modify the data. This will probably be used for the reader writer problem solution in the database side. In this, if I want to create the seller, you just have to replace these values, the ID value and the email address. Similarly, for product, we have to give some ID value, some price, and seller product ID should be the same as this ID, whichever seller we're associating it with. And the category product ID is the same thing, but for categories, if you run the list categories, you can see the product IDs. This is a category product ID, this is another category product ID. And over here, the URL part, we have to paste from the S3 bucket that full URL of the object. And the intention is we'll have about like maybe 2 categories will be enough, and in each category we can have like 3 price options, and at each price option we can have like 2 images or so. So this brings the total to about 15 or 20 images. If at all you want to write a new query, which if you need to do anything, you can just come here either at the bottom or at the top. You can start with the word query or mutation. And when you do that, if you come to the bottom over here, okay, let's give it a name, then put the brackets. And coming up here. Okay, fine. I'll just teach you the graphical interface. Just go to add new operation. You just choose query or mutation. Say I'm going with mutation. It has made a new mutation over at the end. We change the name over here, and then you can if you notice with this is the header, and inside it we are using some of the predefined GraphQL um, functions like list categories, list sellers, and so on. So here, say I wanna create a new category, then I would just select this function. It will, I'll just put it at the top. It keeps refreshing and it's annoying. Go to the topics here. Yeah. So now that I've selected this create category, I've expanded it. It just shows up here. Now I'm able to use this. In this, with the input, I can select which inputs to be given. If I select name, it will come up here, and I can type the values which I want. I keep changing the values here, and I keep running it again and again, and then those will just keep getting updated over here. And this asterisk here represents it's mandatory. The name of a category is mandatory for creating a category. And similarly, products is an attribute of categories, which has the thing items, another attribute items. Items is basically an array, and this is basically the product array. And these are all the attributes of the products. Here, if you notice, this has closed the brackets here and it has started another curly brackets. So this, whatever is inside this input is what we're going to give as input. And this will actually be the output part. Although we're making a mutation query, this output part will define the formatting of the response. And I've selected product, and that I can select price and so on. I can make my queries like this. That is only if you need to make queries. Most probably what I have given will be enough. And the queries will not be saved when you exit the page, but the data which the query is modified will be saved. Again, if you need the queries again, you just come to GitHub and copy from here. If you made any queries, make sure you remember to save it. That's it for the first issue.